I started modeling cars when I stopped working in production because it was one of those things that, could keep my mind occupied. Because if you don't do production anymore and you're doing other things, you still miss the act of making stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always found that when working in, as soon as I started doing 3D properly, I kind of felt, you just don't want to do it all the time, especially stuff that you do every day. So it's nice to sort of have a sideline. When
you guys work on your own stuff, on your own personal stuff, what is it that you like to spend time doing?
Well, personally, I more enjoy tinkering around with technical things. So I like writing scripts for Macs. I've just been doing one today that it's not my script at all. There was a script on ScriptSpot that I've been using or looking at, which was called Image Comp Sync, I think. Image Comp Camera or something like that, which basically overlays onto the display the kind of rule of thirds, golden ratio, golden spiral, golden triangle, I think, as well. But it was a bit buggy in places, so I've been modifying it to suit our needs, really, and just to really practice. So that's been quite a bit of fun, but I also really enjoy getting my teeth into things like rail clone.
Okay.
So anything kind of that I can just automate is right up my street. So I tend not to do a great deal of modeling for fun anymore. I feel that because I've been doing 3D for so long, sometimes I just kind of want to not do it. But I've always got ideas in the back of my head of things I want to try. The other guy Alex is really, he tinkers a lot with little models, and but he also does a lot of photography. He's really good at photography. I don't know if you've seen his Instagram feed, but
yes.
Yeah, he's pretty good at photography, I'd say.
I'm gonna go and stalk him now.
Yeah. I think it's 𝘊𝗶𝗵𝗶𝗧 or something, I think his Instagram account is. Something like that.
Okay, so it's not Alex...
No, it's not Alex Fagan. I mean, you'll be able to find him through our Instagram feed, I'm sure.
Okay.
Or just email him.
Oh, no, yeah, there it is. 𝘊𝗶𝗵𝗶𝗧. Okay. No, I was not following his... That's another one. This is a photography account, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see. He's very talented.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is if you're taking 100 photographs, one of them's got to be okay, surely. Not to take anything away from him.
No, but I know what you mean. Like,
yeah.
I basically do the same when I make an image, It's like, there is this guy, 𝘂𝗶𝗹𝗹𝗶.
Yeah.
𝘂𝗶 has developed this plugin or script, I don't know, that sort of like tries hundreds of different shots. And so when he's working on a project, it sort of like automates the process of like finding interesting views. And
wow.
He's got this, like his approach is amazing because every time that he presents an image, he does it by showing, first of all, the main rendering. And then he focuses on small details. And I've talked to him and he explained to me that according to him, that's how we perceive the space around ourselves. Because sometimes, our eye falls onto, the little souvenir on the table or the way the light hits a certain object inside the room. And when you see the presentation drawings that he gives to the clients, it really does make sense, and it's a little bit of extra work to present your project like this, but clients seem to love it. So
yeah. I mean, I guess this is why people offer the vignette images as well, the little detail shots, which are, we do it for pretty much all our projects. people can use for brochures or social media or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And often it gives a much better impression of the concept or the feeling that you're supposed to get from the project, rather than just seeing the whole development in one go.
Yes, I totally agree. Anyway, yesterday we were having our conversation. We were supposed to be recording it, and then let's just say I screwed up, and we were talking about, working from home. And today, actually, after we're going to be done with this, I'm going to have to set up my first online class, because I teach at the university.
Yeah.
And so the management of the university, they wrote me saying, because of Corona and whatnot, we're going to have this class online. And it's terrible to me, because I teach social media and communication, which you might say, okay, so it should be fine to do it online. But the assignment that I give to my students is to go out and make a video.
Oh dear.
And this video is supposed to be a promotion video for, I usually give them very different tasks, and sometimes it's an ice cream shop, another one it's a sex toys shop, and so they have to come up with all these weird ideas. And I really I help them challenging the status quo, because if you think about it, like you see it on the internet a lot, Pornhub, that they always come up with all these super funny promotions, like...
No, I don't know it.
Oh, okay, you don't know it.
I'm sure I've heard of it.
And like this year I was thinking to do the same, instead of like them doing a video, because they won't be able to meet in groups and work in groups as they usually do, to maybe do sort of like one of these funny promotions. And I'm thinking, and I hope I'm not going to get in trouble, to give them as a client Pornhub and see what they... They either gonna hate me and fire me, or they gonna love me.
Yeah, well, you'll soon find out.
Exactly.
Maybe you need a backup one just in case.
No, I'll give them a couple of options,
Yeah.
It will be Pornhub, YouPorn.
Oh dear. No, it's not difficult to see where your brain lies.
No, but jokes aside, I think that to me it's really vital to challenge also the status quo of the teaching. I wish I could go back in time to when I was a student of architecture and focus a little bit more on everything which was professional practice. We used to do this course where somebody would come in and tell us about the economical stages of a project and, how the planning continue. And I was like, I'll figure it out when I get a job. And if I could go now back and do it again, I would probably pay a lot more attention, because I realized that I really did not care back then.
I kind of think that this is why there are a lot of mature students out there. The grown-up people go back and do another course. They do a master's or something like that, and really they're learning again. I mean, I was the same at university. I didn't, I come out of it and think, well, do I actually need to know the forces on a particular piece of weld or something like that? Because it's very engineering heavy, our course.
Yeah.
And when you're doing a course, you're just like, I just don't. I'm not interested. I'm 18 years old. I'm not interested. And I think that's why they say sort of university is more about a social education than an actual education. It's life skills.
Yeah.
And it's learning to teach yourself rather than learning what people are teaching you. So I think, from that sort of point of view, it's fantastic. But you're right. There's kind of, you just sort of look back and you think, well, if I just tried a little bit harder, maybe I'd have a better understanding of something else.
I really, I strongly agree with that statement of yours, that it's more of a social type of education. It's just that, looking back, really, is it worth to put a person that it's 18, 19 through a 3 or 5 years education in a time where maybe their minds is somewhere else, you know, like...
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, I was lucky because when I graduated from high school, I went on a long trip and I decided, you know, to work and do some life experience. And so I went back to study at the age of 25. Already, by taking the course of architecture at the age of 25, I was probably the most committed person in my class. There were other people that were also working really, really hard, but we were all like more than 23, 24. I was 25. And in retrospective, you know, this was already a good thing, but still, the one thing that I regret is the fact that I went to university thinking, you know, I need a piece of paper. I need to be able to say that I graduated and that I have a qualification. And that was the wrong attitude, because I went there with the objective in mind to get it done. Yeah. So, you know, all the focus was at the end of the run and not during, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's it. I think that's probably the same for everybody. They all probably just think, right, I'm here, I've got 4 years, I'm going to try and enjoy myself as much as I can. And at the end of it, 2-1, or, you know, not the top mark, but whatever. I don't know what it is in different countries, but in the UK, it's a first class degree, or first with honours, and then 2-1 or upper second. And I think most people are happy just to aim for the one below the top one. Yeah. Because to get the top marks, you've got to just put a lot of effort into it. And, you know, maybe people should actually, or the students should actually, after college, before university, they should go and work for 5 years, get a grounding or an understanding of what actually they want to do before they hit university, and by which time hopefully they're a little bit more mature to actually learn properly.
You know, like, back then, one of my teachers was actually complaining about this at the university, because he said that during the Victorian times, people after high school, they would go on like hunting expeditions. They would go maybe to Africa, you know, to work somewhere. And that was part of like the so-called grand tour. Now, the only thing is that the grand tour, only the people that had means could afford it. And so all the other people were sent like, I think by the government, you know, to work in the, at the time, you guys used to have a lot of colonies. And then they will come back and pursue their social life back in England. And I think that I remember 10, 15 years ago, it was the same case with Sweden. It wasn't like the government was sending people, but people knew that after high school, they would have to go 1 year, I don't know, somewhere traveling and visiting the world before starting studying. And I always found that, you know, those guys that took a little bit of a break and gave themselves a little bit of time to breathe, then were those who were going to university and were determined enough to take it serious, at least.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot to be said for taking a year or two out, because the only sort of danger is that if you do get a job, you know, you might just go, you know what, I prefer having the money than the education. And, you know, the money's not going to be great on your first job, but it's still a lot more than what you're used to. So, you know, there's that danger that you kind of think, I prefer my money, and then you can still go out and get drunk like a normal student would.
Because that's the main meaning of being a student for a lot of students.
It is. I mean, you know, I don't know any that didn't do that. Couldn't do it now, in all fairness. But I mean, it's... To
me, you know, because I was a, you know, quote-unquote mature student, and I was 25 in comparison to my colleagues that were all like 20, 19, it felt weird sometimes, you know, to go and celebrate the end of a project and get like drunk in a club, and I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I don't know. At 25, you still got the energy to do it.
The fact is that I was hanging out with like really young people, and that was maybe a little bit weird, but it was fun. I think that, you know, the beautiful thing about the School of Architecture is that everybody is in a way or another creative in their own ways, you know.
Yes, definitely.
And so it was always very interesting situations that we were putting ourselves through.
Yeah, like what?
The certain things are better left unsaid.
Okay, not on camera.
Not on camera. But yeah, like I remember I was studying in London at the South Bank University. I did my bachelor there. And we were very often going to party at the Bartlett.
Mm-hmm.
How those guys get anything done is beyond me, because those guys are always partying. There is always like something going on inside the university. At least that used to be the case 15 years ago. There were always like... the beautiful thing is that in London, more or less all the schools are connected with each other. And so you might have teachers. We had teachers from the South Bank University, which were also doing courses at the Bartlett. They were doing courses at the AA. And so we always knew what was happening in other places. And so if there was a party or a celebration, or somebody would come from another country to do a lecture, we would all be invited. And that was really beautiful, and a really cool social aspect of studying.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my things. You said about going back, if you could do it, if you could do university again, I would have done a different course.
Like what?
To be honest, as a child, I always wanted to be an architect. That was my dream, and I think what scuppered it was when I found you had to do, was it 7 years worth of study, essentially. You know, yes, you might be employed at the same time as some of it, but when I heard that, I thought, nah, forget it. I don't want to be there that much. But actually, in hindsight, I think, you know, especially now working in industry I work in, it would have been a lovely thing to do, because I think there is a certain amount of visualizers that are architecturally trained seem to have a bit of an easier go of it. In the way that, well, I guess the thing is, people assume or fully they expect them to understand what their vision is. Other architects kind of expect other architects to kind of understand them more, and they don't necessarily feel that people with an engineering background or a design background do as much. But, you know, when it comes to reading drawings, I can read drawings just as well as an architect can.
I can tell you, in my own experience, the most brilliant and most gifted architects were those who had actually hands-on project experience, people that, you know, did like management of teams. Those guys were real pure breed problem solvers, and their abilities of solving problems went beyond the technical aspect. They were really creative, and at a certain point I was like so fascinated with this aspect of being an architect that I was like, you know, that's what I want to do. I want to be a problem solver. I don't care about being the guy that has the name on the building. I want to be the one that they call in the project and say, you know, like the Mr. Wolf of architecture.
Yeah.
I was at a lecture of one of the engineers of Foster. He actually came to our university, and he was the guy that I'm talking about. And I was like, you know, very fascinated with the way he described what he was doing, because it's you know, problem solving. Everybody uses the word problem solving, but what is problem solving? Problem solving is like being Jesus. You're everywhere at the same time, and you have the ability of like changing things on the fly.
Yeah, changing people's minds as well, convincing them that you're right.
Exactly. But you know, I guess that what happens is that when you get the authority, then people just shut up and listen, you know?
Yeah. You've got to earn that, though. That takes years, I think, of getting it right.
Yes. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and I asked him this question. I was like, how, you know, did you get to this point in which you are right now? And he said, by making a lot of mistakes and by taking the responsibility for the mistakes that I was making.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to make mistakes to learn how to not make them again.
That's so difficult, man. Like, you know, it's sometimes we take it for granted, you know, what it's like to actually make mistakes, and then, even more important, pull yourself up again after you made those mistakes.
Yeah. I think, is it Christo that says something about, you know, if you need to learn from making mistakes. If you don't learn, if you don't learn from that mistake, you're just wasting your time. It's really important to make those mistakes and learn so you don't do it again.
I guess I've heard him saying this. I read something
like that.
I've read something lately. Somebody wrote that your biggest teacher is your last mistake or latest mistake or something like that. I don't know. I think that you know, and it's funny that we're talking about this because, you know, nobody's safe from making mistakes.
No.
It's something that, in a way or another, you'll have to do. But I think that the real skill is not to make the mistake, is to just reduce the mistakes that you make, because, you know, you have learned from them and you know what to avoid. That is easier said than done, though.
Have you learned from yesterday's mistake?
You'll be surprised. It's like, you know, now I'm not even thinking about the fact that we're recording this video. And one thing that I'm trying to do at the moment with the interviews that I'm doing is to not look at anything else other than the face of the person that I'm talking to. I guess that's the reason why I made the mistake of like closing down the thing, because I wasn't thinking about, you know, the recording.
Finished.
And I was like, I was editing another video that I put online, and I was doing the thumbnail, and usually I keep the same thumbnail for multiple videos. And I was like, no, I don't want to override it because I want to keep the same structure. And I just closed it down and I was like, no. And then usually, well, what happens is that when you save the file of Camtasia for the recording, it gets ghosted onto your C drive somewhere. And because it's complicated, I don't want to explain it to those who are listening at home. But I was like, okay, I wrote you the message and I was like, oh man, I deleted the file. And then I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have written that. I should have checked first the ghosting. Then I went to check the ghosting and I was like, ah, shit, it's not there. Okay. Otherwise, I would have made a double mistake, you know, because you never want to say to somebody or to a client, look, I made a mistake, unless you're 100% that you made a mistake. Yes,
indeed. Well, you know, it's only me. I'll be all right with it.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's when you make those sort of mistakes, you just feel so awful inside you as well. You're just like, you're burning up and you're like, oh my God, what have I done?
You know,
I hate it.
It makes me question my level of normality. Like, I ask myself when I do this kind of mistakes, am I really so stupid? Like, can I really be so stupid? Really, maybe I'm too heavy or too heavy with myself, or too, what do you say? Maybe I'm too
hard.
Maybe I'm too hard on myself. Yeah, that's the right word.
I think you are, because I think everyone has done stupid things like just deleting your files. Like, every time you have to format and install Windows again, sometimes you're like, oh God, I forgot to move those files across from that stupid folder.
No, I know.
Or you've worked on a document, you close it. Max file crashes and you can't find it because you haven't saved it for 20 minutes. All sorts of things.
Once I was... this is one of the things that I never really shared on the internet with my followers and people that watch my videos. But for a very long time, since 2015, I started to work as a marketing specialist for software companies. And I did that on a freelance base, and I had a job for a very long time in this field. And so one of the jobs that the person that I was working for at the time gave me was to make a website page on whatever, some platform, WordPress or whatnot. And I am the worst website designer ever. Like, I suck more than a vacuum cleaner. I'm terrible at it. And he made me do it, and I was like, okay, I was working the whole day on it. And somehow, I don't know what I clicked, I deleted the whole work that I did in one day. And the guy was like, you know, because I wasn't on a contract based, I was on hourly wage at the time. I was working in the office for him, so as a freelancer sort of. And I was like, man, I don't know what to tell you. I honestly don't know what to make of this, but I don't have the work that, you know, you pay me to do today. And the guy was so mad at me. He was like, I'm so disappointed. No. I'm giving you all my trust. And I was like, dude, please do not go down on me like this because I'm going to cry. But, you know, since that time, I started to, you know, save the page the way it's supposed to be saved. And I don't even know what I did that time. Maybe I refreshed the browser and, you know, the work did not get saved. I have no idea. But I know that a whole day of work, it's like, has it ever happened to you that you work on a file on 3ds Max for the whole day and you do not save it?
Yeah, sometimes when I'm, you know, there's been times when I've, you know, same as you, I've lost something that I spent all day on, and I'm like, I literally just, you kind of just feel like the world is ending, and you panic, and you get like a panic attack. You thought, oh my God, they're gonna, you know, obviously when I was younger, I panicked. Nowadays, I'm like, oh well, never mind. But
next.
Yeah, well, you know, you just get used to it, and you think, well, you know, accidents happen and mistakes happen. But yeah, I mean, there's times that Max is so unstable. I mean, I use Cinema 4D, don't you? But on Max is really temperamental sometimes, and especially if you're doing things like rail clone or anything like that. Sometimes it just disappears. And I have worked on files where I've been like hours to go in and getting lots done, and then all of a sudden it just disappears. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And then you go, where's auto backup? Where's the auto backup? And it hasn't saved it. And you're like, no. You think, when did I last hit save? And it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And you're like, oh. And you just think, oh God, this is and then you just give up.
Oh man, you lifted the cloud off my chest. Seriously, like I can breathe better, you know, because at a certain point I really thought that this was like, I don't know, you know, the thing is that certain processes are so fast nowadays that you say, okay, I've lost an entire day of work. Like today I'm modeling the car for, you know, this car that I'm doing. Hold on, I'm just gonna layer it on and I did this model, you know, and I still haven't saved it, and I've been on this entire morning.
Save it right now.
But, you know, the thing is that... Hold on, where are you? Let me go back. There you go.
You've closed it.
No, shut it down. But the thing is that...
It didn't go on your screen, by the way, so I don't know if it's...
No, but the thing is that if I were now to go back and redo the whole thing, it'll probably take me like 15 minutes. The thing is that, you know, like, we're so fast with doing things that sometimes even a whole day of work, it's probably, you know, like maybe 1 hour of modeling, you know, maybe because...
Yeah, well, the rest of it is all procrastination, isn't it? You're thinking about...
or talking to somebody, answering an email, you know, message from somebody.
I mean, that's exactly everything I've always taken when I've lost a file or something like that, or I've lost a couple of hours worth of work. I always look at it like that. I go, oh, well, it's only going to take me half an hour. As long as I can remember what I'd done.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the things I've changed or, you know, you can always do it in half the time. So I don't, you know, it's a learning experience.
Let me ask you, there was a question that since, you know, we had the first chat, the one that we posted on the D2, that I wanted to ask you, and I never did, and I keep forgetting about it. But how did you meet Alex?
Alex, we all work together.
Okay. Yeah, but
so
how did you start working together with him?
I was working at a company that I will not name, and he joined, basically. Okay. We hired him. I remember interviewing him, and he brought in his he had these two nice photo books, and I was these two nice photo books. We'd print out all these photographs, really glossy, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's really good at photography. And he had some renders in there as well, I think. And but yeah, so he joined the company that we were working for, and yeah, that's how we met, basically. Okay. I mean, you know, being brutally honest, we all worked together beforehand. So yeah, that's how. Okay. That's how we know each other.
No, I thought that, you know, it was like, I don't know, I was imagining something else, but okay, I get it. He's a very nice guy, you know, I talked to him, I think he's one of my very first followers, so to say. I remember having conversations with him, and we also had a call at one point in the very beginning, a couple of years ago. Very nice guy, and I was so surprised that he moved to Germany. I was like, why from Australia would you go to...
Well, yeah, I mean, he was, I think, he basically was brought up in, I'm going to get it wrong probably now, I'm pretty sure that certainly it was Seattle, where he's, you know, went to college, university, that's why he's got an American accent. And then, so obviously as an Australian, brought up in America, and then he done a lot of travelling. Australians travel, so he worked over in the UK for a bit. His girlfriend is German, I believe. Anyway, met her in America, so you know, now they live in Germany. So it doesn't affect us at all as a business. You know, we're always on the phone. You know, sometimes actually when he goes off and spends a couple of months in Australia as well, carries on working. It's quite convenient for us because then it means we can be working 24-hour days, essentially, in that respect. So it's like it's fine. I mean,
around the clock.
Yeah. I mean, not individually, obviously, but you know, it does work quite well sometimes.
Yeah, I had the chance to meet him in person at the D2. I don't know, there is something about him, you know, you can tell that he's a very smart guy.
Yes. Yeah. No, he definitely knows his stuff. He's gonna get all paranoid about this when it goes out. He'll be like,
but, you know, no. The thing is that, you know, like sometimes I get very pleasantly surprised by people that are very quiet, but they're also like very, very good. I like that sort of humble quality of certain people, you know, and sometimes I'm like, you know, I wish I would have it.
But I think, you know, you need a good. I kind of feel that with us, the whole team, to be honest, we're all a little bit like that. We're all, you know,
that was a thing that I wanted to say, actually.
A little bit introverted, perhaps, all of us. So it makes that very hard to actually put ourselves out there. You know, even having this conversation with you when we first did the D2 one, I was like, oh my god, this is not me. I'm very uncomfortable about this, but you know, it's trying to push myself out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, but you know, like,
and we all need to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I don't know. I think that this whole thing of social media is a little bit overrated. Meaning, you know, a lot of people, because there is this filter of the computer, of the TV, very often there is the perception from those who listen to think that, you know, we're either trying to play celebrities or whatnot, you know. We're just doing our little part in creating content that might be useful to people. And eventually, you know, something can only be useful if you find a way to use it. If, you know, people are watching this and they think, okay, these guys are only doing this for themselves to, you know, have their own moment of glory. It's their perception of what this is. I think that since we're doing this and we're putting out these chats of ours, there is really no hidden agenda in it. You know, you see it. We're really having a friendly one-to-one conversation. And I would say in these times during the coronavirus that there isn't much happening, people should try and do this for themselves, because it's a great way to train yourself to talk openly. Because, you know, like, I know that there will be maybe 100 people watching this and judging and thinking, and this is what we do when we talk to a client. This is what we do when we pitch a project. We'll talk in front of people that will judge, that they will think. And so this is a great exercise for us to get used and comfortable to the fact that we might have eyes on us when we are trying to express ourselves, you know. And I would recommend people doing it, especially those who English it's not their main language, because you know, like, it takes me very long for me to come up with phrases that sound slightly correct, or that.
No, well, to be honest with you, you'd never know. Your English is so good.
Really?
You know, well, you know, I can't speak any foreign languages, so, you know, I'm ashamed. Well, I'm embarrassed. So
look, I'll take that as a compliment, but I can guarantee you there is a video, and I would recommend you to go and watch it if you haven't done it already, which I think it's called I Suck and That's Okay, where I try to show people, you know, because one of the things that some designers ask me is, how did you improve the way you speak and the way you talk and the way you communicate? And I'm like, you know, don't take what I do on social media as who I am in real life, because I do not speak like this. There is a lot of editing that goes into me making the videos. And so I did this video where I showed whatever it is that I was trying to say edited, and then there is a part where I did not edit it. And dude, it's hilarious. Like, when I feel down, I go and watch that video, and it makes me laugh, because it's like, you know, I know that I'm going to leave it unedited, and so I'm like, and I swear a lot. Like, this is one of the things that I'm trying to fix about myself, because you know, like, in my...
I'll tell you how you fix it.
All right, tell me.
No, you carry on. I'll tell you in a second.
No, because, you know, like, in Italian, it's okay for us to use words like, you know, bad words. It's okay. People do it. And so eventually when I try to externate something, a concept, an idea, and I feel like swearing in English, for me it's natural. It's like, So how do you stop swearing?
Well, the way I do it, I had kids. That is a simple answer. Children. And I don't know how it works with me, but I do not swear in front of my children.
Really?
Or my parents.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents can say all they like to me, or in front of me, should I say. And, you know, I'm a grown man. I'm, you know, in my late 40s. So I shouldn't be ashamed or embarrassed to do it, but I just won't do it. And I, you know, amongst my friends,
no problem.
I'm happy to. No problem at all. No problem at all. But as soon as there's children or just people I don't know, I think it's just a bit, you know, showing a bit more respect to them. That's just me. I just don't like it.
You know,
but I have got a potty mouth. So
I guess that we all do. Like, you know, when oh man, you should have been at the D2 conference last year when we were doing the modeling battle.
Oh yeah.
Did anyone tell you about this?
I think Alex, he talked about, he said you were drunk.
Oh man, because you know, like usually what we do the day before the event, we have two people getting on stage and making an artwork, and they have to do they do a drinking competition basically. You know, they have shots, they have beer, and I was like, wouldn't it be more fun if I did the same shots and drank the same beer together with the artists? Oh man, it was a shit show.
Oh dear.
We lost control. Like 25 minutes in, we all had like 3-4 beers and maybe 4 or 5 shots each.
God.
And I remember like there was a an artist. His name is Fabian. I'm Fabio. He's Fabian. He's a relatively famous artist. He does all these everydays images, and he was so happy. He's from the Alps between Italy and Austria, so they're big drinkers. And he was like modeling, and so I was like interviewing him, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on? What are you doing?" And I give him the microphone. He looks at me smiling with like big eyes, and he goes like, "I'm having so much fun."
There you go.
And I think I started to laugh. I could not stop anymore.
Did he get his model finished?
They both did, both artists, and the funny thing is that it was like a 3ds Max guy and a Cinema 4D guy, and they were going head to head, and there were people from Autodesk in the crowd, and Max would crash every like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was shouting the name of the 3ds Max guy that was in the crowd to ask him, you know, can we get some support? But I was doing this because I was super drunk, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble. But at the end of the day, everybody laughed. And the 3ds Max guy won. So, you know, the guy was like, you see, even if it crashes, it's still better.
I think the thing is, it's the main thing is it's you're having fun, isn't it? It doesn't matter that, you know, you can produce rubbish work as long as you're enjoying it. That's the main thing.
But that's another thing that, you know, I always try to you know, people always ask me, the work that I'm doing, I'm not happy. What can I do to be more happy? And I'm like, dude, happiness, it's a choice. If you're deciding to do this job, then like the bad the same way that you like the good, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's crazy. And happiness isn't just, you know, I mean, if you're being specific about happy with the piece of work you've produced, you know, that's obviously put more time in it. If you're not happy with it, spend more time until you are happy with it. But, you know, happiness there's so much more to being happy. You know, it's enjoying your life and making sure you're not a slave to your job, and, you know, having children, love of a wife and family.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, friends. I think it's a little bit unfair of people to think that we should get joy from the work that we do. And maybe I need to explain this, but like, you know, you have a wife, you have kids, you love them, but I'm pretty sure that it's not like your kids make you happy every day, all day, right? There are ups and downs.
No, they make me angry every day, all day. Happy is when I go to bed and go to sleep.
They're
especially
not,
now.
They're not subscribed to my channel, right?
No.
They're gonna, Daddy, I resent you. But, you know, like I always make the example with my dog. I love her to bits, but sometimes she just like, I'm having a conversation with somebody or I'm recording a video and she starts barking, and I'm like, you know, I still love her. She doesn't make me happy the whole time. And I guess that the same thing happens with your job. You know, you don't have to expect your job to be your source of happiness. You need to do it and be happy and be proud about it, but you also have to accept the things that... Can you hear her now barking? She's
yeah.
Man.
Well, just as well, mine's asleep, my dog. So.
Which dog do you have?
Oh, she's a mongrel, just a rescue dog.
Okay.
But she's getting on a bit, but She's she only really barks when the doorbell goes or there's something in the garden or something, but then she'll go nuts.
Oh man, I envy people that have normal dogs.
I wouldn't say she's normal. It cost us a lot of money in vet bills, put it that way. For every ailment.
I think that my dog has been to the doctor more times in these last 2 years than me in my entire life.
Yeah, me too, I think. Yeah, that's the worst thing about pets. You think, oh yeah, I think nothing of spending, £5,000 for knee replacement.
Oh my
Whereas,
God.
I got a bit of a toothache. Oh, I'm not going to the dentist. It will cost me £500. It's like,
but when it's your pet,
whatever. No expense spared. What is wrong with the world? So yeah, it's. I think happiness is definitely. You've got to look at it as a whole. You can't just sort of put it about your job, because I think anyone that tells you that they love their job and they're happy because of their job is probably lying to you. And more so when you see it on social media. I think everything you see on social media is just, like you said, it's a facade, and it's what people. I don't know. I just think, especially now, again, I've noticed it a lot more. There's a lot of postings that are look like a bit of a front, trying to give people the impression that nothing's wrong, that everything's normal, and they're very successful still. And I think in reality, I could be wrong, but I think in reality at the moment, I think the world is in a very rubbish place at the moment.
Look,
and no matter what people say,
we were having this conversation yesterday already, and I beg of whoever is listening to this, please filter the information that you're getting from the outside right now, because as a content creator, I feel also part of the problem, because there is not enough information of what is actually happening out there. But I'm talking to companies every day, people that reach out to me telling me, we're going bust, what can we expect? And still those guys, they're acting like nothing is happening because they gotta keep their appearances going,
Yeah.
And in a way, I mean, I talk openly about the fact that all my projects are on hold. There is no shame in it. None of us could have predicted that this thing was going to happen. The only ones who are going to be safe are those who have cash that can allow them to get through the whatever it is that it's happening. At the moment, I talk to people in Australia, in America, in Germany, in England, in France, in Italy. All these countries are shutting down, and there is no building industry at the moment that it's active. There are two fields which are still going, which is for us as content creators, digital creators, which is social media and entertainment. Because, you can still produce stuff for TV, for web-based series, and social media content for companies that are, they're now sitting on stock of stuff that needs to be sold, and so you can help them with that. But as of now, the building industry is on a standstill. And there are some people that they have their projects and they're slowly finishing. But man, I have a conversation with somebody, 1 week later, they call me and they tell me, everything that I told you last week does not apply anymore. If we were all a little bit more honest about this, we would not have people trying to cut each other down and offer like, have you read the post from Jeff Mottle urging people not to cut down? It's crazy, and
I mean, the difficulty is I can understand why someone would do it, because they're desperate. They just think, oh my God, if I can, all right, this time I can do it for, 20% less, 30% less, 40% less. But the risk is that it becomes if you do it once for someone, they'll just think you do it all the time for them, or they'll just ask every time. And you know, we've been a victim to that to a certain extent. You know, you've got to learn from your mistakes. And you know, those clients that you've offered a substantial discount, or you've just gone in too low, they're never going to all of a sudden pay you more. So the more people do it, I guess the more people will know that they can get it cheap, irrespective. You know, they'll just go, oh, well, so-and-so's doing it for half the price you are.
I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and he said the exact same thing. He said, you know, why would you show your hand to the client? You know, because, you know, we are those who make our own policies, the community, you know, because if all of a sudden everybody's charging amount X, and here comes a new guy, and he sweeps all the other projects for Y, and Y it's significantly lower than X, and then everybody else adapts to the new Y, then we are the ones that are deciding for the new Y policy, you know?
Yeah, and Z will come along, half the price again.
Exactly, you know, because then that will be the new competition.
I guess the difficulty is, and this, you know, you always, most people turn around and say, well, I can get it cheaper. And I think because this is obviously because we've had such a long period of time, probably since the last recession, certainly over here, where, you know, the normal used to be a number of £1,000s per image for something relatively simplistic. And nowadays, you know, there are exceptions. Obviously, some companies still manage to sort of charge the big bucks. But because the service that you are offering, or how do I say it? Because there's someone else that is just prepared to do it cheaper than, or there's lots of other people out there prepared to do it cheaper, it becomes slim pickings for the people that are prepared to pay money, or what something's worth, I think. So, it's, you know, there is the work out there, and certainly there is people are willing to pay the money, but because of the damage that's already been done by the you know, a combination of recessions and people undercutting each other, you know, that's exactly probably why the new norm is a lot less than what it used to be, because of the last recession, the global recession. And, you know, like you say, the danger is now, if we all cut our prices, the new normal after this will be what we then are charging now. See what I mean?
A friend of mine wrote in one of the comments to a post that I reshared from Cristo, he wrote about, hold on, let me pull it up, because it was actually very insightful. And this is something that Steve Jobs said about Apple as well, that, you know, the policies that bring a certain company to the top are the same policies that then are going to kill the company. Right. And let me just find it, because it was actually very insightful. And, you know, it's this post about how to double your income as a freelancer.
Yeah, Alex post. Yeah, Alex sort of shared that. I haven't read it yet, or I haven't watched it, should I say.
I think it's, as a post, it's very insightful. And I think that, you know, what you have to get from this post, obviously is from Chris, and Chris has now become, you know, like a pillar of how people should be thinking about the business side of design.
Yeah, I mean, his book is really
did you start reading it? Yeah, it's...
Oh, no, I finished reading it. Okay. I read it pretty quick, but I did read it.
It's a very easy
over
read.
A couple of... Yeah, I mean, there's a chunk in about the marketing and you know, the money side of it, which I think that's the important bit that people need to understand.
Yes, exactly. You know, it's and again, like every time that you talk about money with an artist, the artist will almost default on the answer that money doesn't matter, it's not important, or, you know, and it's like, it baffles me that even though people talk about this over and over and over, you still have those reactions from people that, you know, money, it's not the reason why we do these things. And, you know, and Zolt wrote in one of the comments, I think Kant said this about states and political systems. Correct me if I'm wrong, a political system will be destroyed by the same reason it was created by. And I think that, you know, we have a lot of people that got into archivism because they love doing it. And the fact that a lot of people would want to go in it because they love doing it and they're ready to do whatever it takes to do it is the thing that it's now killing archivists, you know, because people give the priority to the fact that they want to do it. They, you know, want to love what they do. And that means sacrificing the economical state of it, which I think it's a dangerous thing. But anyway, we will see what happens after this is over, if we survive at all.
Yeah. Oh, fingers crossed we do. So I've still got things I want to do.
I want to learn skydiving, man.
Oh, no, that's not for me. That's definitely not for me.
Survived the coronavirus, died in a skydiving accident.
Yeah, exactly.
Italian YouTuber.
Yes, that'd be it wouldn't be funny, obviously, but yeah.
Warren, believe it or not,
yes.
We're almost nearing the 1 hour.
Again, another hour.
Yes, and exactly. This time I'm going to hit the save button. Don't worry, I guarantee you that. Dude, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I need to jump in a call actually in 2 minutes, but I'm going to write the person and say that I'm a little bit late. And later on I have another call with a friend of mine. I hope that he's going to decide to put also that call online because it's Mike Golden. Do you know Mike Golden? I'm aware of him obviously, but I don't know him personally. I mean, he's incredible. Him and I, we talk like at least once a month. We do it.
Oh, fantastic.
We get on the phone and we talk about nothing, but we need to talk because he's a big head. Like,
yeah.
In that head, there is Disneyland, there is the Marvel universe, there is everything mixed into one atomic composition. And that guy has a level of creativity which I think at the moment is one of the leading creators in the field of archivism. Like, I think he's one of the guys that sets the standards of how images and creative work is made, at least in the field of archivism. But anyway.
I remember an interview with him, sorry, quickly before you go,
Sure.
where he was talking, maybe it was with you. Have you interviewed him on your channel?
Yes.
It might have been you then, but he was talking about that he doesn't, the first time someone sees, or the client sees one of his images is when it's practically finished. And that's a dream, that is.
This is actually what I teach my clients. You know, I tell my clients, look, stop pampering your clients with this is the view, this is the clay. Just tell them, look, this is what it is. Now give me your feedback. And you know, like in the worst case situation when you have made a lot of mistakes and you have to redraw the whole thing, you're still saving a lot of time following your clients with like, okay, the camera 1.5 degree towards the right, and it's like 27 pixels up.
Yeah.
Man.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Anyway.
Yes.
Warren, I'm going to hit the stop button. Thanks a lot for taking the time. Don't go anywhere. Yeah. I'll say goodbye in a second, okay? Thanks a lot for doing this.
No, my pleasure.
Cheers.
Thank you.